Hello, my loves, and welcome to another episode of Lux Unleveraged with your host here, Michelle Hex. As always, welcome to my new listeners and welcome back to my regulars. Today is a topic I've been dying to get to for you over a few days. I had this massive realization last week that there is so much change occurring in my life and my business, and that's because I made some changes. And I was really sitting with the gravity of, that saying that you keep doing the same thing and you get the same result and then you expect something different. I know I just murdered that, but you know what I'm saying? So it's like that definition of insanity, right? You keep doing the same things and expecting a different result. And I look back and I've been setting the same goals in the same areas of my life for a lot of years. And yeah, I was moving the needle. There was definitely progress being made, but there hadn't been a quantum leap in a while. And I was sitting and reflecting over how much progress has been made in this last handful of months. I feel like a completely different woman. My business feels like a completely different animal. And my health and fitness feels the best that it's felt in a long time. And there's progress, massive, rapid progress being made. And I was asking myself, why? Why has there been so much progress so quickly when there hadn't been for a long time? What's the difference? And the difference is that I did things differently. I made some different decisions. I decided that I was going to do things in different ways. And it wasn't me sitting there saying, well, if you want to lean into the definition of insanity and keep doing the same shit. I wasn't really thinking in terms of that. It was only when I looked back that I could see that, how true is it that when you do things differently, when you make changes occur. And so let me share a little bit with you about what I mean. So it's not really cryptic. So you've actually got some details. Well, the first one is the easiest one to tackle, right? And that is, I had made a decision a few months ago that I was sick of feeling really tired and run down all of the time. And I was also sick of having that same freaking 2 or 3 kilos that, I'd make a little bit of progress on losing and then it would, just be there again if I took my foot off the pedal for even 5 freaking minutes. Welcome to menopause. I just was so adamant that those rules weren't going to apply to me. And what do you know? Anyway, so that was kind of where it was at. And I did make a change. I started working with Paul, my PT, about 6 months ago. And that was a change, but not really a big change, right? If you've heard me talking about progress, but in the same set of circumstances, that's what I'm talking about. So I have had a trainer before. I had hired somebody locally who was a very similar type trainer, but I was able to train with him as well as do my skin folds and, he managed my macros and stuff like that. So, all things being equal, that should have been better, right? Because with Paul, I speak with him every week, but I see him in person every fortnight. And skin folds, all that sort of stuff, it was all samey, right? But the difference now is that, and I look back when I was working with the other trainer and I was still handling the same things. I still had my CLL symptoms and I had not uncovered that my hormones were in the toilet, that my testosterone was so low. So hiring a trainer that was essentially very similar, only Paul's definitely better, but hiring a different trainer is still the same thing, right? And so what's different? We had blood tests and we really dived into what the hell is going on and why is it that all the normal things that would typically allow me to drop that handful of kilos really quickly, why is that not happening? Let's go and explore that. And my other trainer was very much about, looking at the skin folds and, well, this one means that, you're stressed and this one means that you're not getting enough sleep. And that was all great, but it's like, even when I'd taken care and I felt like I was very optimized, it didn't take very much to reverse any results. So it's kind of a battle I think I've had for a few years now. Anyway, so Paul is like, let's go get those blood tests done. And we had the blood test done and it gave us answers. And then he said, well, I need you to go and see a hormone specialist so that can talk to you about HRT or testosterone or whatever it is that you need. Went and did that. And the changes were significant very, very quickly. And so we looked at that and it's like, yeah, but you're still like, it's great. Your energy is definitely better. Skin folds progress is still really, really slow. And so we explored peptides. I've been using peptides to help me overcome some inflammation in my back and things like that. So I got over the hurdle of injecting peptides and it felt kind of not really a big deal anymore. And so then I said, okay, what other peptides have we got that we can explore that's going to help me shift this weight? Because I'm feeling better. My training has been consistent for, as long as we've been working together. I'm getting my step count done. I'm nailing my macros. Even in a deficit, we're not really seeing much progress. And it's like, well, let's try this. And so I started taking a peptide that is going to help me shift the fat. And already I'm noticing a difference. And it's like, why did I wait so freaking long? But I'm also never going to be the person that takes the first, I want to say the easy route in brackets, but it's not, right? And so this is just another tool. And at first, peptides was just off the table. It's just like, no, I was ignorant. I didn't know enough about them. And when I came to see that they're actually health driven and was able to do a little bit more research and was able to speak to some more people and look at the people who were using them and have conversations with them and, plus trust what my trainer was telling me. Not that he was ever forcing anything, just like, here are the options. And so I decided to go down that route and already I'm noticing a difference. And so I know that that little battle over that same freaking 3 kilograms, which is such a small amount of weight, but it makes such a difference on my frame. That's like, that's going to be gone. And what is going to be the difference? I made different decisions about the tools that I was willing to use, and that changed everything, right? So I also was looking at it and it's like, I could spend another 2 years in this loop if I didn't decide to access this tool, make use of this tool, and actually achieve the thing that I've been trying to achieve off and on for, quite a few years now. And, achieving that goal, but then having it go equally as quickly because it was very hard to sustain, when once upon a time it was never difficult to sustain. So anyway, that goal is always like, my goal is now shifted. So, instead of lose that fucking 3 kilos, it's like, that isn't even a goal anymore because that is in motion. It is happening. It's working. I don't need to think about it. So I've turned my mind already to, well, when can I get back to martial arts and what is that going to look like? And let's start to really look at some different classes that are available that are going to happen during the day. Before, you were kind of, people don't do this stuff during the day. But, of course they do. And there is a Muay Thai gym that does 7 a.m. classes and it does midday classes. And so I'm going to get in touch with them and I'm going to be committed to that in January. And in the meantime, I'm running again. I need to be committed to getting my fitness up so that I can train really, really well. I love running. And, my swim lessons start again shortly. So I'm going to be swimming and that's going to help with my back. And these are all things I haven't been doing. And these other decisions are kind of dominoing off the big decision, like, let's just handle this shit. Let's just not have this as a conversation. Let's not set this goal again. Let's just get it done. And so it just feels like a completely different mindset. And then there was this whole, and if you're a woman in your 50s or 40s, you would understand this, right? It's like, we don't want you running and we don't want you, exercising at too high an intensity because it's not good for hormones, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, excuse my French, but fuck that shit. Like, I love to operate I love to be fit. My fitness isn't great right now because I haven't wanted to, inverted commas, tax my system too much. But I haven't felt like me because I haven't been doing the exercise that I love. Yes, I will lift weights to the day I die. I lift well. I'm doing that 4 times a week. We're back to doing legs and upper body again because, my disc is almost, it's still not quite there, but we're getting there. And so I'm able to reintroduce that. That feels good. My legs are sore as hell and they're filling again. So it feels really good. But I love to run. I love to work out so hard that I feel like I'm going to puke. I miss that. Martial arts will give me that. My running will give me that. Swimming doesn't really give me that, but I'm working hard when I'm swimming. And so suddenly my goals are very, very different, right? So my goals are not lose that fucking 3 kilos. It's like, okay, be fit enough to start Muay Thai and train a minimum of twice a week and be fit enough to do that, to enjoy it. And I'll also be, as lean as I want to be by then. And so I'll be lighter, I'll be faster, I'll be all of those things. And that just makes me so happy because for a little while I'd given up on that being a thing again. And so, yeah, that's where that doing things differently, that one thing that I did differently. And that one thing was deciding that I would explore the world of peptides, get into the peptides. And it's been so interesting, right? There are, women that are on my periphery online, women that I've known for a long time, a lot of years. And I'm watching them transform their physiques. And it's like, they've been like me. They've kind of been the same for a lot of years. And suddenly they're super lean. And it's like, I know what they're doing. And it's like, but I didn't really know. I mean, I knew what they were doing, but I wasn't ready to explore it for myself. And now that I know this and I'm watching them, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that too because I can do that too. I have access to these things and I'm not experiencing any side effects. We're microdosing. I'm not going to talk about what it is. You can DM me and ask me. I'm an open book, but I'm just going to not share what it is right now, but it's all above board. It's all those sorts of things. And it feels like amazing, no side effects whatsoever, getting the result that I want. And, 8 weeks from now, I'm going to be exactly where I want to be. And I don't need to worry about like, how are we going to get there? Do my calories need to go lower? Does my output need to increase, which will burn me out, for example? So we've got the solution. Excuse me. I want to pause when I do that. But last time I did that, I stopped the recording and then I had to drop it into the A and B. Not doing that. So that one little change has had this massive domino effect, right? So for me, the other thing that I decided to do differently was I made the commitment that the podcast was going to be my number one marketing tool and I was going to find a way to grow it to the level that this becomes the way that I do business, because I had also made a decision that I am not performing like a fucking monkey for the algorithm on social media to try to do business. I'm done with that. I'm not doing that anymore. And that decision has led me to creating the Podcast Millionaire and that now becoming my core offer and essentially removing me from the inverted commas, the traditional coaching industry. I have my inner circle, but that's a founder's inner circle and that's evolving as we go. And so it's an adjunct to the Podcast Millionaire and the other offer that I'm creating around YouTube. And I've also got this other thing coming. And it's like, now I look back at the identity that I had at the start of the year and the goal that I was trying to achieve, exactly the same thing, fill my mastermind, get my mastermind to capacity, keep it at capacity as people leave, other people come in, etc. Right? Same goal I've had for, a few years now and with, progress being made each year. But it just, one day I just felt like this has all got to stop, that none of this is feeling good. None of this is feeling good. Something needs to shift. And so I kind of stepped into a void. It's like, okay, so let's explore this podcast thing. Went all in on podcast promotion and growth and seeing my podcast grow, which is amazing. And then realizing, oh, this is a strategy I want to pass on to my clients. So have my inner circle or old mastermind, had them accessing the same promotions team so that they could be promoting as well. Then the whole monetization conversation came about, got monetized. Now we're growing to an audience of millions. It's like, this is something that I want to see in the hands of people. And suddenly this is now my core offer. And I see myself becoming more agency, right? Where it's like, yeah, people get to come into the inner circle and I work with them at a super high level. And they're, my team is growing and monetizing their podcast for them and then growing their audience to millions. So it's a different model. It's a completely different model. And so, like, typically on a Monday, I've been out for my walk. I'm back now. I've got a meeting. I'm hiring somebody this afternoon. I've got other things that I need to do today, but not a huge amount of work. But I look at it and it's like, oh, one of the things that Mondays were about was a lot of content creation and getting, a lot of content up and then mapping out what I wanted for the week. And it was all around client acquisition. All of my activity was around client acquisition. And that's not a thing anymore. I've just hired a salesperson. I'm hiring my marketing and ads expert this afternoon. And I have my intern who is essentially my COO these days. And she is going to be overseeing a lot of that stuff. And I'm removed from a lot of it. I'm the decision maker. I'm the architect, the curator of it all, but I have people that now go about and execute the things, and I'm seeing more and more where I can remove myself. So I'll sit down to write an email today because there's an offer that I want to put out for December. And it feels so like, this is not the work that you should be doing. And so that will be something that gets handballed at some point, I imagine, because who I was back then is not the person that I am now. Who I was as an entrepreneur back then is not the founder and CEO that I am today. And it's all happened so quickly, and it's off the back of that one decision. What needs to change? What did I do differently? And the decision was, I'm not playing this algorithm game anymore. I'm not jumping through hoops. I'm not creating fucking reels. I hate reels. I'm not doing this anymore. So if that's off the table, what do we need to do? What do we want to do? And so that led me on this path that has created a foundation that feels so infinitely better than anything else I have done. The capacity for scale is fucking enormous and it feels amazing. So I was just sitting here this morning and thinking about, well, over the last few months, I've really been sitting with, what is my role now? What am I supposed to be doing today? And really getting some clarity around, well, nothing really changes. It's just that instead of doing coaching calls or mentoring calls, I'm running team meetings. Instead of focusing on client acquisition, I'm creating, it's like build this thing, and I'm building the thing, hiring the people that need to be in place to execute. And it's just a completely different version of myself. And so I'm going into 2026 a completely different person with a completely different mindset, there is a whole new operating system installed, and I don't feel the same at all. This is off the back of, 2024, doing what I needed to do to heal my childhood trauma stuff, all of that. I've been carrying that along for the ride. Everything that I had created up until that point was created from a place of fear or a place of, probably a place of fear. If this doesn't work, then that. If this doesn't happen, then that. And then when it happens, if this doesn't stay, I just don't have those thoughts anymore. I just don't have them. They are not there. I know where I'm going. I know I have the right team in place. I know where I am 3 moves ahead from now. I know what that looks like. I know what I need to focus on first. I know what I need to focus on next. And I trust the team that I'm bringing on board to execute. The other thing in the past is that when I've had a team, I've wanted to just outsource responsibility. It's like, okay, here's big picture what's happening. Now go do it. And then don't bother me with the details. And then me kind of hiding away and then coming in and looking and then going, well, you did it wrong. Now we need to fix this thing. That's an exaggeration, but you get what I mean, right? And now it's like, whenever I want to have that, it's like, oh, it's like, no, this is your job now. This is your role. You are no longer a coach and mentor who's focused on client acquisition. That is not who you are anymore. You are the CEO. You are the founder of this thing. This requires that you show up as the CEO. And so I'm ready for it. I wasn't ready for it before. And I've learned to trust the timing of my life over the last, decade or so, but never more so than right now. I trust the timing of my life so much right now because I look back. This is the time of year I'm reflecting on so many things. I look back over that last 12 months and where I am now. And yeah, I'm so proud of myself. I couldn't go back to being that person if I tried. It's just everything has changed in the best possible way. And so I want to leave you with this for December. I want you to really think about this. This has been 2 years of work for me, right? There are no shortcuts, unfortunately, because if you're not ready, you're not ready, right? So trusting the timing of my life was I was trying to rush things and push things through, and they weren't returning what I wanted them to return because I wasn't ready. Now I'm very ready. I'd so outgrown everything that I'd been doing and when I didn't know what the next thing looked like, the gaps were filled in because I was making really good decisions. And those decisions, I saw things that I could never have seen from that unhealed state. I could never have seen all of those things. So it is a work in progress, right? But even if it takes you 2 years, like it hasn't quite been 2 years, but even if it took you 2 years, like it took me, you're still progressing in the right direction. And when everything clicks into place, it happens fast, my friend. So much is happening so quickly right now. I can't even tell you how exciting it is. But I want to leave you with this, right? So as you are sitting in December and you're getting ready to go into 2026, you might listen to this, I don't know, whenever, 5 years from now, right? It doesn't matter when. The question is still applicable, and that is, what do you want to be different next year? What do you want to be different? And then when you start to think about how am I going to create that, if you go back into those same habits of launching the same type of thing, you're like doing the same things, I want you to be really aware of it. So the lie that I would tell myself every year was, it's going to be different this year doing the same things because I'm better at it, or I'm going to be more committed or more polished or more whatever, right? And yeah, like that energy of new and fresh, and that can carry you a certain way. But when you realize that you're seeing people quantum leaping, and you are making incremental steps forward, there's something missing. There's something not right. And we've got to explore what that is. And if you were to go back, I want you to go back over the last few years, right? And I want you to ask yourself, did you get the change that you were seeking to the level that you were seeking it? And if not, what were you doing then? And then what were you doing the next year? And then what were you doing the year after that? I guarantee you're going to be doing the same things. It's exactly what I was doing. And we're doing the same things, expecting a different outcome. And sometimes everything needs to change, not just one or two little things, not just tweaking. Sometimes we need to step completely out of our current situation, step into the void like I did, and just trust that the right thing is going to catch you and that you're going to be off and racing. And so this month, I want you to really be thinking about, what do I want to be different? And then what is it that I can do differently so that I achieve a different result? Because that is the key. And as I said, for me, it's only been in hindsight when I looked back and it's like, well, what changed? Oh, okay. That one decision changed everything in, say the health and fitness, weight loss kind of area. And then what changed in my business? It was like that one decision to do something differently. And that will change everything. You don't need to know every step. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know that you're going to try something different and you're going to really give it a red hot crack and see what it provides, see what it produces for you. And if you do something different, you are going to get a different outcome. I guarantee it. Anyway, that is it for this week. Have an amazing week and I will see you next week. Bye for now.